Let's go to the 2026 Energy Indaba now, which is underway in Cape Town, South Africa. And this gathering brings together leaders from government, industry, finance, and civil society to help shape Africa's energy future. Key discussions are expected to focus on the energy transition, unlocking investment, driving innovation, and ensuring equitable access to power, all seen as critical pillars for sustainable economic growth across the continent. For more on this, we cross live to our economics reporter, Channel Africa's very own Innocent Semosa, who's attending the Indaba in Cape Town. Innocent, good morning. How are you?
Good morning to you, colleague, and our listeners at home. It's really good to be alongside you.
Great, and we love this update. So let's start here. What is the dominant theme emerging from this year's Energy Indaba, and how does it reflect Africa's current energy and economic realities?
Indeed, colleague. In fact, the dominant theme is Africa's energy pathway to prosperity. Now, you and I know, colleague, that energy security and access still remains core priority in terms of, the African continent. A major focus at the Indaba is really tackling the issues around energy poverty and access gaps. You would recall that the Minister of Electricity, Hosien Churamukgopa, he said that we out of the woods in terms of load shedding and all of that. But the long-standing issue is that of energy poverty, that electricity is indeed affordable, so to speak, but the element, it's not, it's available, but it's not affordable. So that's the energy poverty element that he was mentioning. So with hundreds of millions of Africans asunder still lacking reliable and affordable electricity, I would imagine panel discussions here would focus on finding solutions um, uh, because you know that the economic growth, issues around healthcare, industrialization, education remains pretty much constrained, equally so by energy shortages, so to speak. So this, in many respects, it does reflect the ongoing reality that energy access is not just a technical, but um, indeed deeply tied to social and economic development. So issues around attracting investment and capital mobilization will be key also. But in summary, going back to your question, the dominant theme is that of this year's Indaba is pathway to prosperity, which of course the organizers say that it's Africa's urgent need to end energy poverty, put the investment led growth in the sector, but also a commitment to sustainable and inclusive energy transition. So the policies and regional cooperation as foundations for economic expansion. So those are the things that will form part of the discussions here. But we are told that the president is likely to address the delegates, but we're certain that the Minister of Electricity will also, Hosien Churamukgopa, will also give a keynote address this morning around 9 o'clock. Sanda?
Right. What about Africa's reliance on traditional energy sources? How are policymakers balancing that push for renewable energy with this reality?
I'm glad you're bringing that up, Asanda, because many African governments are indeed actively promoting renewables, such as solar, wind, hydro in Mozambique, Kaorabasa. So I think renewables are cost competitive in many regions, and they help reduce energy import bills, so to speak. But again, the solar and wind projects really challenged by the issues around policy coordination that is not you know aligned with the investment that is needed. But again, I think going back to your question, Asanda, the off-grid and mini-grid solutions often renewable based, are based on deployed to really expand access to rural communities where the grid expansion is pretty much expensive. Now, it's going back to what we've been discussing about the issue of energy poverty. So, all I can say that the at the time at this stage, policymakers pretty much recognize that traditional energy sources remain essential in the village, as you rightly alluded to, at least in the nearest term. But it does seem as though there is that focus because fuel fossils, especially natural gas, continue to play a role in empowering industries and transport and electricity generation, where renewables are not yet sufficient, for lack of a better term. Sanda?
Okay, we'll leave it there for now. And all the best there in Cape Town. I'm sure we'll be checking in with you in our various programs here on Channel Africa throughout the day. Thanks, Innocent.
Thank you, Hassan. In fact, I should have a house here now.
Absolutely, you just need to. And that house should be a holiday house for the rest of us when we're tired of Joburg.
Thank you, colleague.
Great stuff there. Innocent Semosa, Channel Africa's economics reporter, joining us live from the 2026 Energy Indaba that's taking place in Cape Town there. So we'll get more details or more updates from him as that continues and our programming at Channel Africa continues. Get in touch with us. Our social media handles on Facebook, we are at Channel Africa. And then for the others, at Channel Africa 1. We also live stream on YouTube via that at Channel Africa 1 handle. So you've got a lot of ways to connect with us and we welcome you to do so. 7:30 Central African time it is. Let's say good morning to Jwalani Tulo Ngwepe. She has our news headlines.